welcome to RoD, episode 55. Troy Skidmore, thank you so much for being on with Kim and I.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. Much appreciated. Very excited.
I like how you said much depreciated, like an asset depreciated. we're gonna depreciate the Troy Skidmore brand today. Actually, last podcast we did, was it last one? Yeah, we had Tiago and Pasha Stolia on there. We broke down a boa, but weren't you on a boa as well?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I fought against Ben Hodgkinson.
Oh shit, so, that's right.
Wow. Yeah, it was a fun thing. It was probably one of the highlights, I suppose, because it's such a professional ran event. You know, You felt like, all the camera crews there, the crowd there, and the big hype, and having your poster made, and that. It definitely was an absolute highlight. And there was Ben was, everyone knows Ben Hodgkinson. He makes a bit of rivalry, so and good on him. He made people talk about the match a little bit, which helps promote me. It's not my personality to do that, but I understand why he was doing it, and it did boost me up as well, and got a lot of attention on the match, so it was good.
Ben would have definitely been the bad guy, wouldn't he? That's his persona.
He's full on. But you know what? It was good. It was good. It was a good match. Ben ended up winning by 2 points. I think I was 4-6 or something like that. So it was one of those things. But it was really good for me because I had just opened my school at the time, my club at Limitless, and then have all my students there and watch and sort of, lead by example. Try to do that. So and it was great. Yeah.
Absolutely. Are you? Would you consider yourself a competitor? Are you all about the competition, or do you? Some kind of head coaches and business owners like to just compete to show that their school has it can compete. Others do it because they love to compete. Others do it because they're scared shitless of competing. What's your kind of driver?
For many years, my main driver before I was even a full-time coach was to show my students that I like to do it, and I lead by example. So before I even opened Limitless, my main drive was to know that I've gone to that black belt level and compete. So when I have a student who does it, I know exactly what they're going through. So try and experience it myself first. So then when I can have a coach a student, I know the emotions they're running through. But always the long-term goal was to make me as a better coach from competing. Yeah, awesome. If that makes sense. So, I even used to write notes in my hand when I competed back in purple belt days, and it would say things like the motivation of competing, because we all get nerves. Anyone who says they compete and don't get nerves, I really think they're lying. And the lead up to it, I'm sure everyone right before you saw the match, like, oh, here we go again. Why am I doing this again? I'm sure that's what most people think.
Yeah.
And I had
it's not even when you're getting on the mat, Troy. Not for me anyway. It's all the weeks before. You're like, oh,
all that
pull
too.
Out now.
Right?
Yeah.
So going back to it, I used to write on my hand reasons to do things, and I used to write for your future students. That's why I was competing. You see some of my matches when I lift my hand up. It was when purple belt and brown belt, well before Limitless, and it was for the future students to just put myself out there, because the long-term goal is to get kids and adults to a national level and then international. We've already traveled a few times overseas. So that was the main drive, and it still is. I'm not looking now I'm way more focused on being a coach now than a competitor, but I still have that hunger to do bits and pieces as well. But it's, that doesn't pay the bills. Being a good coach, being on the mat, being focused for the student is much more important than trying to win another Pan Packs or something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. And you've got a huge club, Troy. Like, you guys just had a grading the other week, and you've got God, how many students have you got now? Like, it's huge.
Hundreds. Well, just kids alone, well over 100, and then adults the same, and then Muay Thai probably the same. So somewhere for a town, we're in Sunbury, so it's an isolated town. So there's no, there's paddocks between us and the next town. So for having an isolated town like that, a satellite town, to have over 300 members, it's huge. When I first decided to open here, which is where I grew up, speaking to my coach Dave and Cam Rowe from Dominance and stuff, they're like, we'll work out in those isolated towns. You might get your 50 students, and you'll be able to survive off that, and it'll be okay. So to then grow like we are and still growing, it's really good for everyone. And the whole, I'm happy for the whole community, because I do programs with schools and that, like I've got, VCE kids and come and do seminars. I've been lucky enough to have the police force support. So I've got a lot of local police officers that work with us as well, or train with us, and I do seminars with them. So it's a whole community thing. Limitless in Sunbury, it's huge. Yeah. And,
do you think like the success of the club is that? Did you get lucky opening up in Sunbury? Like there's obviously a lot of people, there's a lot of development, there's a lot of kind of people going there, or do you think it's the culture of the club, or it's a mixture of
it'd be a combination of things. So firstly, there's a couple of smaller schools in Sunbury, Jiu Jitsu schools, and they're doing their thing. They're not really full-time venues, but there was a couple of small ones here. But the success, I think, would be mainly, firstly, going all in, like setting up a proper facility and all that sort of stuff. Having my wife, who's in it with me as well. So she's full-time receptionist. So she's always on the phone and always working out with the marketing and all that sort of stuff. Then we are on the main road of Sunbury. So you drive into Sunbury and you see our place lit up. So that's
yesterday. I drove through Sunbury yesterday.
Oh, did you? Yeah. So, cool. Yeah. So that helps a lot too. And I think I was lucky I have my original students that for whatever reason, I got like I got a group called the Original 20. They're the original 20 Limitless students, and they all wear a patch. And the majority of them are still training, and now they're all sort of getting to purple belt, brown belt level. So to have that culture set from the start with those guys, very lucky. To have those students, and they're still here now. The majority of them, there's a few left for whatever reason, but I think the culture is the big thing too.
Awesome. So, awesome. And can I ask you about last year? How was that for you? Like, obviously it was a pretty tough year for everyone. Being a pretty big jiu-jitsu school, do you think that helped you survive it, or like what were you guys doing to get through?
Well, firstly, the having to shut the doors was, god damn, like that was, especially when we just moved to our brand new venue 2 weeks before lockdown. So bigger facility, spent like a couple of $100,000 doing the whole place up. We put new toilets in, new showers in, bought a proper Muay Thai ring, new gym equipment, spent some big bucks, and then we had to close the doors, put air conditioners through the whole place. And then happened to close, and we decided to shut everyone's debits off. So it was zero for everything. So we sat back and we're like, well, what can we do now? So we basically restructured the whole gym. We worked on a new point of sales, new website, and we designed I designed a whole new fundamentals class structure that runs over 6 months. And that took a lot of time. And we also made an intro course that's online. So if we have someone calls up and they go, what's this jiu-jitsu? I've seen UFC or whatever, but they're not really sure. We're like, I'll jump online, do the intro course. It's like, 20 videos, and it teaches you how to put the gi on, and it shows you, what jiu-jitsu is all about. So you don't have those people walking in, having no idea what they're about to do. So we did many things like that. And it made the business a lot stronger, because as soon as we were allowed to have people in the building, we opened without training. And we had people coming in. We signed up like the first day we opened like a soft opening or soft reopening. We had people just coming through the door because we were still on the marketing and we're still on the trying to put positive out there with the social media sort of stuff. And the day we opened for that soft opening, we had people queuing up, walking in to sign up memberships before they even tried the place out. And so we grew 30% in that lockdown, like from the lockdown to reopening fully, which is massive. So I don't know, you just got to keep going and keep putting that positivity out there into the community, and people gravitate towards it, And again, having great members who talk to other people, and they, I go to my son's kindergarten now, and I just dropped him off, and you got a lot of my students there and their parents there, and they're talking to other parents going, oh yeah, no, go and train jiu-jitsu for whatever reason, whatever purpose. And it's self-building now, like crazy. So I'm always grateful every day I get up for being able to do what I do, and even having, opportunities with you guys. It's just, it's amazing how it's all working together every day. Coming from a tradie background, getting up and like a drizzly day like today and being out in the weather. And jiu-jitsu coaching gets hard, but it's like nothing to that. So it's always every day a good day,
Brilliant. And one of the questions Kim and I often ask, and I think it's a great segue, is like, who introduced you to BJJ? I mean, I'm just actually looking at your BOA clip right now. I'm going to put it up shortly. We can do a little mini review if we like. But
Great.
I just realized you were a brown belt back in 2015. So you're not one of the OGs of black belts like, some of the other guys, which is great. We need that mix. But we seem to have had a lot of long-time black belts lately. You haven't been doing jiu-jitsu that long, really, in comparison probably, or you were really slow. I'm not sure. We're going to find that out right now.
Really slow. Really slow.
Tell us the story.
Oh, look, okay, I'll give you the full background of how it all happened. It's going to take a few minutes, right?
That's fine.
Oh, yeah, we've got all the time.
Grow up in Sunbury, but I grew up on a farm in Sunbury with my parents, right? Obviously. And there's not much to do out there, right? So I had like boxing bag out set up in a stable and things like always loved martial arts, always loved lifting weights and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
That was my one thing. And another thing was racing dirt bikes. So it was a motocross race as a kid.
Yeah.
And by the time I was a teenager, I was taking it super serious, and I was lucky enough to have a close mate who used to take me to all events when I was a kid, and we were racing every weekend. And I ended up, I'll get to why I started jiu-jitsu. I ended up getting sponsored by Yamaha and basically like sort of turning semi-pro as a motocross racer. So as a kid,
I thought. Quick time out on that. How good is the name Skidmore when you are a motorbike racer?
I know. That was the best name because they're like, you hear the announcer when I'm going around the track. Troy Skidmore's going around the first corner. There's so many jokes about that. You hear it over the microphone and stuff. But then, about 19, I had a major injury. So basically blew out my knees, and the doctors basically said, you cannot get on a dirt bike for at least a year. Right. And because I was being sponsored at the time, you have to give everything that you got back. It was only like a lease sort of thing. They gave it to you and then you give it back. Okay. So right then, when you thought you were a kid at 19, you think, I've made it. Like, it's your dream. It's your dream. It's like when you're a MMA fighter, you get a contract to a big event, you know what I mean? So I give all the stuff back, and I'm like, okay, I got to rehab my knee. My mum hated me racing motocross. She was crying, telling me to give it up. Dad was sort of backing her up as well. And, one of my friends who, I won't put a damper on, I think he was killed on the motorbike in Reese just before that. And I was just like, all bad. So 1 minute you're living your dream. The next minute it's like, this is not working out. This is not what I thought. And I ended up hating it, because I had so much pressure as a young kid to try and perform on the dirt bike. Mm-hmm. Sponsors would be there. You'd have to get to a certain level every race. So scrapped it. Had to give the bikes back. Had to rehab the legs. So I started going to gym. Had 6 knee surgeries to get over. Yeah. While I was doing that, I was in the gym. I had a boxing coach who said to me, "Oh, this boxing's great, and but there's something really out there, and it's this grappling art. Like, these guys, if they grab you, you're dead." And I was like, what do you mean? I could just punch him. I was pretty big right now. I was pretty jacked at the time. I'm like, I'll just fucking smash him. I don't care, And anyway, so we go to this garage in Sunbury, like a local garage, taught by a blue belt like legend. He's a black belt now, Peter Backman. And I had this young guy named Steve. I rolled with him. He was probably 60 kilos. I was like 90 kilos. And he just was all over me. And I'm like, this is crazy, And I was just like, I got to learn this stuff. And then he's, they explained to me about the Machado brothers and the Gracie family. And I was there every day after that in this garage, just training. Slowly rehabbed the knees and getting over all the surgeries and all that. Started competing, got some good results. So this was literally I think it was 2002. So it was a while ago.
Wow.
And then I moved.
You are an OG.
Yes, I have been around a while. Dave Hart held me back for years. I was like a brown belt for over 4 years,
Yeah.
So, but it worked out well because it helped me try and, get to that level of competing. Competing many years as a purple, many years as a brown.
Right.
Awesome. So, moved to dominance. And then Dave, he took me under his wing. And Dave Hart, Cam Rowe, this is the only reason I am where I am today for those two guys. They were always like, you can do it. They call me Cyborg. You can do it, Cyborg. You can do it, Cyborg.
Is that because of your knees? Your cyborg knees?
Yeah, they do. They do bend on funny angles. You can see it sometimes when I compete. They sort of go like that. Yeah. And then, competing in all overseas. We went overseas many times together. And Dave was always like, spoke to Dave one time, I remember in New York, and he's like, I'm like, can I do this? Like, and he's like, dude, you'd be a great personality to open your own school. He goes, I'll help you. Let's do it.
Wow.
And then from then on, I was like, all right, mission. I'm going to open my own gym, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And then we're here and making a living for me and my wife. And, you know, my son trains now, and everything's good. Everything's great.
No, there's no doubt about the depth from dominance. I mean, we've had quite a lot of the OGs on this podcast from there. You know, we've had Cam, we've had Dave, Mini Dave, Big Dave. There's I can't even count how many. There's so many.
Yeah, Lincoln. There's so many.
Yeah, Lincoln, DC.
So many guys who've gone from a hobbyist jiu-jitsu person to a full professional through dominance. And I know there's other gyms, of course, doing it now. Absolutely, and all that. There's fantastic things going on there. I look back in the day now when I was a coloured belt and who I was a coloured belt with, those names you just mentioned, Dave Miranakis and you know, Dan Kelly was there, Lachlan Giles. There was just all the crew. And I look back now, I'm like, man, at the time I knew it was special, but now looking back, I'm like, how special it was. Or nearly one of my close friends is a professional jiu-jitsu coach or a professional athlete who I grew up going through the ranks with. So obviously something's going right there. Yeah,
and it's awesome too that like you've spread it across Melbourne, like geographically they're in all different locations. Wherever you're living, you can't escape jiu-jitsu. It's somewhere for you.
And we're all still really close to. We all chat and just give each other's crap and go to each other's houses or whatever. So
is there much rivalry between you guys now that you do have your own clubs when your students compete? Like, how does that go down? So, like,
we pretend
one of
there
your
isn't.
boys is against an immersion guy or whatever.
We're jiu-jitsu competitors. We're competitive in whatever we do. You know what I mean? So with your students it's in good nature, but yes, there's always like, So definitely. But it's more about we don't voice it too much. We sort of just look at each other and sort of give each other the nod, like, I gotcha, whatever. And and even when we roll, even now, and we're all a bit older, we still go at it, So and there's still that competitive nature between us all. But
awesome. And one of the reasons we wanted to have you on, Troy, I am a bit of a devotee of flotation tanks or isolation tanks. So I was at one and just having a look at their website at Elevation, and your face popped up. And I was just wondering, like, the link between jiu-jitsu and flotation tanks for you and stuff like that. I was like, wow, I know that guy. Here we go. So what's your take on that flotation?
It's a way to get away from the noise, basically, like literally. But I always need time to reset. There's so much especially being a jiu-jitsu coach, and you've got so many people around you. You've got hundreds of people you're trying to, service in a positive way. So there's that many conversations you've had, or that many students who are having challenging times, or that many business decisions to make. I can't assess all that stuff when my phone's beeping, when there's noise in there, when my son's going crazy, when the phone's ringing. So it's a way to get in there and decide to make clever, whether it's a business decision, a student decision, or how I'm going to structure classes. That's when I feel like I make the most progress me as a person, when I'm isolating, but not only in an isolation tank. So, it's great to go to those, but I have to do it more regularly. So I'm fortunate enough, I've built my own home, and I've got a sauna in there as well. So I get the similar effects from my sauna, where it's just close the door, put some real chilled out tunes on, sit back and decide whatever it is I've got to work on. And that's where I feel, for me, a lot of good things have happened here, which then comes out into the real world. I also do it I've got a spa as well. So it's always that time to decide what's important and work on what I need to work on for everybody else. On top of that, I have a breathwork coach as well. So working on breathing. So I do that in there as well, which is huge. Again, it's something that I sort of really got into it during the COVID lockdown. I had a couple of like Skype sessions with him and stuff like that. And it's really good. It's crazy. So how it can relax you and make you think better and all that sort of stuff. So
Passion,
work too.
Yeah, Pasha Stolia was talking on last podcast about how if he's not breathing properly in a match, his anxiety levels shoot through the roof. He can't perform. He gasses out. You know, I definitely, and I'm 100% on the same page as well. Like I'm a big fan of the Wim Hof breathing technique. And I did his seminar, and I was just blown away by the impact of breathing. Just simple breathing. You know, it's no secret. It's been around forever, obviously, but it's overlooked. You know, it should be part of the introductory classes is breathing.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's so crazy. And I used to, you know, I've tried everything to try and perform at my best. I've been, you know, taking all the different supplements, doing all the different weightlifting workouts, all of the everything. Hardly slept, trained every 4 hours sleep, train, get up, train, do all this. And now getting a little older, maybe a little smarter. It's not that complicated. Like seriously, the best things I've done is relax, like learn to relax. Like it's almost like it's something you have to get good at is to learn how to relax. You have to practice to how to relax. So I'm getting better at the relaxing. I'm getting better at breathing. And then everything seems to come together. But if you don't relax and you don't breathe properly, you've got no chance, you know? With these breathing sessions I've been doing with my friend who's got his own company. I think it's called Create Flow Breathwork. He's a BJJ student as well. The way he can get me to hold my breath, you know, the in and out, and then the breath holds, and he calls it Bolt score and all that. I don't really know all the scientifics behind it, but my God, it makes a difference. And now being a coach of so many, you see it and you're like, that guy's rolling like he's doing bench press. You know, he's like, and you're like, hang on a second. You're basically going for a jog when you're rolling, but you're doing bench press at the same time. You are going to get fatigued, you know? So we talk a lot about that. You know, they're like they're deadlifting while they're rolling, you know? It's like, you don't breathe like that. So that's been huge. I can't recommend breath work is massive. I think in just this world, we're just up and going and smashing coffee and just boom, 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 boom. And we're not even, you know, getting air into our belly and fully expanding our lungs, you know? Not calming that mind.
Geared towards anxiety as a community nowadays, not relaxation, that's for sure.
And so how do we fix anxiety? Let's go and see the doctor and take something. And maybe you just need someone to sit down with you, put some chilled out music on, put your phone over there, have no distractions, breathe, and have a good conversation with someone. And then all of a sudden you go, oh, what? I don't have anxiety anymore. That's magic.
Or even with the performance, what you're saying, you spend hundreds of dollars on supplements and everything, but the answer's inside you. Like it's in your breath. It's there all along. You didn't need all that other stuff. So.
Let's talk to the students all the time. Oh, I'm really, really nervous. And it's like, well, good. That means you care. That's I go, you care. You should be nervous, right? But let's go. Let's work on your breathing and let's burn some energy. So you get your heart rate up. And then all of a sudden, they're not suffering so much. What am I looking at here?
I thought we should have a little bit of a quiz.
So you have to show a match that I lose?
Well, I don't have any others.
No, that's all right. Back in the day when I was competing, I barely put anything up. So I didn't really even own a computer back when I was competing. I just trained. I didn't film anything. Oh, there we go.
Oh, wait, this is the end.
Well, that's it. Well, this is like, first of all, look at Ben's haircut. I don't know if you can see that from here, but he came out.
Well, again, he promoted us both, so good on him.
Yeah, that's right. So
it's the most boring match. We got to 50-50. Remember when 50-50 sweep for sweep was going?
Yes.
I haven't watched it for so long.
That's what I wanted to ask. Look, you didn't have anywhere near the facial hair game you've got now. So, you know.
A lot heavier too. I'm a lot lighter now.
Yeah. So what was the secret to your, like, you were a lot trimmer now, obviously. Do you train differently now? You train more, or your diet? Like what's?
Well, my wife's a nutritionist as well, so she's helped sort that out. That helps. So that's, you know, obviously part of the formula of Limitless as well. And stopped doing so many weights, and I'm, geez, man, I'm sound like a crazy person. I mean, I do a lot of strength yoga stuff too. So yoga for BJJ and all that sort of stuff. And I feel like it's way more relevant, that sort of training, than busting ass and picking up a 200-kilo deadlift. I really do.
Well, Tiago right now is also doing, like, he's doing the yoga teacher training as well. Like, I think that there's definitely a place for yoga. It's
for sure. I mean, I heard a line once that yoga is one of the few sports that you can do that you can actually get better at as you get older.
Oh yeah,
You can get further into a back bend as a 60-year-old than what you could as a 20-year-old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because the way the body's made and the way that yoga is. So absolutely. And yoga and jiu-jitsu goes great together because we're so compressed all the time. So yoga's good because it sort of opens you up.
Opens you up, yeah, because we're always like,
yeah, weight training just is more compression, I think. So yeah.
Well, yeah, weight training as well. Like I feel like if I do a real weight session, it takes me off the mat. Where if I do a good yoga session, I might be able to add another session on the mat. And as well, that holding and that when you're holding like a guard pass, like trying to hold the pass, that's more relevant, like more closely related to yoga than it is pushing bench press or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like that squeeze that you need for jiu-jitsu is helped by yoga a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
So I noticed here Ben's starting to apply a worm guard or has a worm guard kind of situation going on here. Or some version of that, you know what I mean? And 50-50 a lot showed up in your match. Were you prepared for that sort of stuff? Was that part of your normal training? Or was that all Ben?
What year was this? This was like 2015.
2015.
15.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. Yeah, I knew he was. He was training with Kit Dale at the time.
Yeah.
And I know he was playing that stuff when because he was a dominance for a couple of years as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I knew his game well, and he knew my game well. My game plan was to go under and underpass him.
Yeah.
And Darce choke him because I was landing a few of them back in those days.
Yeah.
And he knew that. So he started to time out with lapels. I think he thought he'd confuse me with it. And it was frustrating. I was pretty sure he was going to do it. Yeah. Something like that. I knew it was going to be 50-50 or lapel worm or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that might have also been the last time Ben Hodgkinson was in a gi.
Probably.
I don't think he trains much gi anymore.
Probably.
That's for sure.
Good on him. He's been working real hard. He puts everything. He's got nothing but working hard at jiu-jitsu, and good on him. Good. Keep going, Ben. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
And obviously the rest of the crew at Absolute, what Lockie's done, and Craig and all those guys. It's so awesome to have that community so close. In Melbourne, getting to that level, it's just grouse. Yeah, I love it.
That's awesome, man. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
And what other, is there anything you'd like to pass out to the BJJ community right now? Is there anything you want to promote? Is there anything you want to discuss? Because, we don't have a lot of listeners, but we do have a growing listener base.
I think we do. Yeah, we do.
Yeah, so...
I think you do. I think there's a few people who've spoke about it on the mat here. So
wow.
Sunbury. Yeah, it's a Sunbury all the way out here. So yeah. Well known.
To Sunbury. That's a good step. We're moving in the right direction.
I don't know. I suppose I could talk about what I've been working. I think for me, as a coach, 7 years nearly now. So 14. Yeah. So we opened in 2014. Not when you're a coach, I look at me when I started a coach, I was a white belt coach. You've got to earn your stripes as a coach now. It's completely different to being an athlete. And, I feel like now I'm starting to get a little bit of depth. So I suppose 7 years, I'll be a colored belt of some sort level coach. It's big on, I've been really big on the structure and the way to deliver the classes. That's been my thing. During the whole of COVID, I was really trying to put it together for a mind that hasn't been trained in jiu-jitsu as quick as they can so they can learn quicker and faster to get to a black belt, hopefully in less time it took me. Yes. Okay. So,
but then again, it's not about the race. It's about the journey, isn't it? It's not about the destation. So stay on the path, everyone. Stay on the path. Listening.
But I feel like I can give you shortcuts now.
True.
Because gone are the days where you could just turn up on the mat, back. All my coaches have been amazing, but back on the day, you could just show any technique and everyone was blown away. But now that's not real coaching. You know what I mean? You've got to start to structure it. So we started out the start of the year, just working on, position control first, and then try and build that map. So in everyone's head. So if you're a beginner and you've been training 3 months, you've got a pretty clear map of jiu-jitsu. You haven't just got a bunch of techniques that as soon as you roll, they go out the window.
Yeah.
So I've been working massively on that. And it's been huge. So we work on subjects, it goes for 2 to 3 weeks, and we'll spend that amount of time on, say, guard passing or whatever. But I don't just show guard passes. I try and work on how mechanically each guard pass works. So in the heat of the moment, they're not trying to memorize step by step what I said, grab that and do this and do that. They can actually assess what's going on and pick the right path to go because they understand the position. So let's say we're in closed guard, you're in closed guard, how to attack from there. Number one, but this is what I'm drilling in my students now. So that's what I'm choosing. So we're doing closed guard at the moment. Firstly, keep your legs locked. Don't let them just push on your knee or whatever and just open your guard. So number one, keep your legs locked. Number two, keep them on their knees. You don't want them to stand up. So attack their balance by keeping them on their knees. Never let them set and stand. You don't want them to stand. So always keep them on their knees. That's step two, keep them on their knees. Step three, put them in a bad situation by attacking their balance, trying to push them sideways, hit them up for like a hip pump sweep or pull them forward, get the arm across. Once you get them to a vulnerable state, then start to look for your submission. So in their mind, they've got a step-by-step process of how to roll, rather than me go, oh, here's a cross choke, here's an arm bar, here's an omoplata, now do it. As soon as they slap hands with anyone else, the guard's gone. You know, so I'm trying to, and then after we roll, I say, where'd you go wrong? And they're like, I don't know, they stood up. And I'm like, perfect, don't let that happen again. Why'd they stand up? Oh, because they had their balance. Good. How do we stop the balance? And make them work it out themselves by thinking their way through it. Otherwise, I could just show, any coach can, thousands of techniques and then tell you, oh, you've got to put it together in your mind. Good luck. It takes years, like it took me, you know? So I think it's going to shorten the period, hopefully, you know, from the average 10 years to a little shorter. And I think that's not just me. I think there's a lot of coaches doing that, but I'm trying to spend a lot of time now doing my thing, like what I feels right. So spend a lot of time on the mat and really focus on the students to then come up with my formula that I think's best without too many other influences, you know. Brilliant. And it seems to be going good now. It's an obsession now. It's gone past where it's like it's the middle of the night. I'll be taking notes and I'll be getting up early and thinking about classes, but it's a good obsession and it's working well, and the classes are growing, and I believe we've got a lot of good students coming up. You know, our teenage program, we've got, I don't know how many kids, and they're all talking about international competition. So
awesome.
I can't wait for the future. I really can't. Yeah.
So fantastic. Awesome. Yeah.
And having good parents around the kids as well. You know, they're all going there. When are we going to America again and all that? So I was like, God, this is crazy. Who knows where we're going to get? Yeah.
Great to have someone.
Especially for a country town, right?
Great to have someone so passionate on the show about the future of jiu-jitsu, about
what
they're up to. I appreciate you coming on so much, buddy. I'm sure Kim does as well.
Yeah. Well, jiu-jitsu's huge now. It's common knowledge, man. Like back in the day, it was like, oh, what do you do? Karate? What's that? You know, now you can pretty much say to anyone, I do jiu-jitsu. Like, oh, wow, really? I watch UFC, you know? Yeah. It's like, so who knows where it's going to end up? I feel like it's going to get to that quite a professional level for everywhere. And you might even get it all the way through to the younger generation where it's kids professional comps as well. And that's, I feel like the jiu-jitsu is starting to approach it that way. You know, with even the way the comps are ran from back in the day to now when smooth comp and all that, like it's a lot different, and everything's, you know, recorded and all that sort of stuff. It's so much better. Back in the day, it was just you turned up, you weighed in.
It was paper based.
Paper based, right? And then you'd get a little medal like that, and there's no record of it. So I've got all these medals from like MG, I think they were called at Dominance, like these little ones, and I don't even know what year it was or what it was for.
If you get a big fat belt, yeah, that's what you want nowadays, a big fat belt.
Yeah, you need that. Yeah. Well, when we went to America, we did the Naga with a couple of the juniors.
Yeah.
And it's a good belt, but you know what else they get? They get samurai swords.
Oh,
how do we get this home? Like this kid out in the car park with samurai swords. They're thinking good shit here. It's madness. And the way it's, anyone's seen that? You guys seen Naga or been to it?
I've seen the Naga sword.
It's very
awesome.
Like it reminds me of like, I don't know, like Texas sort of style. Yeah, let's go and let's roll, and massive flags everywhere, and there's flames and stuff like that, and samurai swords. It's madness. It's good too, you know.
It's good. Yeah, the future looks bright.
Now samurai swords. Hey.
The future's bright. I think we're about to run out of time.
We are.
Oh yeah.
So it goes quick, doesn't it? It doesn't take long, and we've only got the free one, so we've got a bit of a time limit. We've got to get going. But thank you so much for giving up your time. It's great to speak to another OG, and I think we've almost run out of the Dominance OGs. Or I'm sure that there's probably another.
Has he been on there or anything like that? Lee Ting?
Who's that?
Lee
No,
T.
No, we
no,
haven't had
that's
him
a
on.
good
Here's
idea.
another one.
Also, if you find any good kids, well, I'm sure you do. You've got a lot of them. But if you've got any kids who want some exposure, I'd love to have
Oh,
a
yeah.
teen on
Oh
the
yeah,
show.
we could get a kid on.
Yeah,
we
let's
have.
get a
let's
teen
do
on.
it.
If you
Yeah,
want
I've
to
got
talk
a
with them,
couple.
that'd be
Yeah,
great.
yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'd be perfect.
You come on as well, and we'll just talk about what
Let's do
competing
that.
like
That'll
for
work.
kids, all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. That'd be great.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've got a couple of kids who are taking it real serious. Let's do it.
Awesome.
Awesome.
All right, Troy.
All right,
Thanks again,
We'll be
man.
posting this up soon. If you can share it on
Yeah,
your page, that'll
I'll
help grow our
broadcast it as
audience.
much as I
That'd be
can, for sure.
fantastic.
Yep.
Cheers.
We might grow
Awesome.
from 5 to 55. Who knows, listeners?
Good.
Thank you.
That's the goal. That's
He's
the
humble.
goal.
Awesome.
All right, Troy. Have a good day.
Thank you
All
guys.
right, thanks,
Thank you so
Troy.
much.
See you soon.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.